Rev up your engines! Well, if you've seen anything about Elon Musk and his Tesla Giga Press that he has, you know, everything he has is Giga. He's got this thing about Giga. Now, it is fascinating because most cars, hey, they're made out of hundreds of individual parts on frames, the underpinnings of the whole car. This Giga Press makes two huge single castings for the front and the rear of the underbody and connects them with a battery pack that's part of the body structure. Now, yes, technologically, this is fascinating because it greatly reduces weight and simplifies vehicle assembly, so it's cheaper for him to make when he puts them together. But if you think about it, you got a big piece and a battery holding it together. You don't want to get a wreck in a Tesla. Goodbye to that car because, hey, all those giant pieces are one piece. And if they break, that's the end of the car. I had a customer years ago who had an Audi, one of those V12 Audi engines in, right? And he had bought it thinking he's going to make some money fixing it and selling it. Well, that frame was an aluminum frame that was all pressed together. Nobody could fix it. Nobody would weld it. He ended up having a big pile of junk, and he lost money on it because nobody could fix it, so he couldn't sell it at a profit. You start making everything out of one or two pieces. When they break and you got to replace it, that's the end of the car when it's in a wreck. And if you're using the battery as part of the structure, here's a brilliant design too. When the battery goes bad, or you get in a wreck, then the battery breaks. And that battery's probably $10,000, $15,000. You know, it's great innovations. Like if you got a rocket ship, I understand the technology because the government's pay for the rocket ships, and they've got endless pockets, right? Well, you got a car, and it breaks, and it's got rocket technology, and then you got to buy another car. Well, you're going to be really sad that it was made with just two pieces, and one of them broke, and that was the end of it. They don't think of the long thing. Yeah, it's cheaper to make them that way. It's more efficient. But if it ever gets in a wreck or it breaks, boop, the battery breaks in half, or one of these Giga Press pieces break, no one's going to be able to fix the things. Especially when you're using aluminum. You got big old pieces and they break. They are not easy to weld. Sometimes they're almost impossible to weld back together again. Especially if they're part of the structure of the vehicle. You don't want a chance of thing breaking when you're going down the road, and if the battery's part of the frame structure, poof, you don't care if it breaks. Oh, you can buy another one. You buy another one. What the heck? He's acting like those little electric race toys that the kids have. They're always breaking them, but they only cost $40, $50. Yeah, when they're $100,000, it's kind of another story. Oh, well, it broke. I'll buy another $100,000 one. Brand 101 says, Scotty, I'm interested in buying a 2010 Toyota Avalon with 125,000 miles on it. Owner's a senior, can't drive, and wants $6,500 and has minor scrapes on the bumper. If it checks out, what's a good price? With coronavirus, the prices have gone totally bananas. And I'll give you a thing in the past. I bought a 2002 ES 300 Lexus for my wife. It had 65,000 miles. I paid $3,000 from a customer of mine, and it had minor dents and scratches on it. That's too much money as far as I'm concerned, but the market has gone insane. It is, what? 12 years old, it's got 125,000 miles. I'd offer him $5 and hope the guy came down. Now, you're not going to find another one probably from the original owner, an old guy who can't drive them anymore. But with dents and scratches, the values of the car go down. If he took that car with that mileage and dents and scratches to like Carvana that buy used cars, they probably only offer him $3,000 for it with dents and scratches because they'd have to fix the dents and scratches in order to sell the car out. You see cars with dents and scratches, the value goes down. If it was perfectly clean, another story. But people see dents and scratches, that really knocks the values of the cars down quite a bit. D-Batch 1715 says, Scotty, can you do a video on the upcoming reboot of the Aptera electric car? It posted some models that have a 1,000-mile range. Thank you. I will only make a video if I can get my hands on one of these cars, and then I will tell you the truth from my experience of them, or if somebody out there buys one. When it comes to these companies that claim they're going to make this, they're going to make that, it's a waste of my breath analyzing it because they don't even exist yet. There's so many guys out there trying to con the world into putting their money into their electric gold mine, and then you find years later, or even months later, the company goes bankrupt and everybody's money goes down the toilet. You can't comment on any of that stuff until it's actually out there and people are driving them around and you see how they last over time. Not just, oh, what a great idea, it can go this far, blah, 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 blah. You gotta see them in the real world, like the Ford Maverick that's coming up. I'd love to get my hands on one. I know Ford's not gonna send me one because they don't like me telling the truth about problems that they have. If they did, they wanted to be honest, send me one. I'll road test it honestly. Give me it for a week. But that's not going to happen anymore. They used to send me cars, but they don't anymore because they didn't like that I was saying bad things that were bad. I'll say good things about good, but I'm going to say bad things about bad. If somebody out there buys one, hey, bring it to Clarksville. I'll test it. I'll check it out. I'll put my equipment on it and look at it. But it has to be tested. And truthfully, you got to wait over time, too, because you don't know. And these people, they claim 1,000 miles range. They claim, the battery's good for 15 years. Then you find when they're 3 or 4 years old, the battery's drained, don't last longer, go out entirely. You never know till time goes on. Don't trust anybody with what they claim. Just don't. You got to test something out over time. Even I've been fooled by not testing things long enough. Now all these companies send me stuff. He said, are you going to make a video? You're going to make a video? I said, let me test it out. It's got electric batteries. It's got an electric motor in it. Give me a year at least, because I want to see at least will it hold up a year, because I've got so many Chinese pressure washers, right? None of them even lasted 9 months before they broke. They were such junk. They worked fine in the beginning, but then they were broken within a year. I hold all of my analysis out on any of those electric cars, so they've been out a while and they're actually produced. Rich Eska says, I got an 04 Matrix XR. Does taking the plastic junk off the bottom matter? Things are scraping, parts are gone. Do I really need that stuff? Well, not really. It's a Matrix. On the high-end cars, like a V12 Audi, they gotta have the bottom sealed, because if you're going that fast, you need the suction to hold it down. But let's face it, you're not driving your Matrix 190 miles an hour. It doesn't go that fast. It's mainly for the ratings that they build them that way, so they're more aerodynamic. Oh, you tear all that stuff off, maybe you'd lose, I don't know, 1/10 of a mile a gallon gas mileage on a highway. Probably not even that. It doesn't affect all that much. My Matrix is missing it. My wife's Lexus is missing all that stuff. I'm not spending a fortune to buy all that crap under there. It really doesn't do much of anything. It's just there to make them more aerodynamic for the testing of fuel mileage and stuff. I mean, cars didn't have those things in the past. They ran perfectly fine. Just like those beauty covers on top of the engine. They're a complete waste of time. The only thing they're good for is like if you live in Alaska, because they'll retain heat a little bit more when it's really cold, so the engine can warm up a little bit faster. But for everybody else, they're waste of time too. You can take them off, throw them away. Those stupid beauty covers on the top of the engine under the hood, they really don't serve any purpose either. Justin Shepard says, I fixed my 79 Catalina on new brake lines that doesn't leak, but I noticed the master cylinder forces fluid upwards into the reservoir like a straw blowing up. I put in a rebuilt unit from Advanced Auto. What could be wrong? Well, I can guarantee you got a crappy rebuild. Don't ever buy a rebuilt master cylinder. Your life stands on that. Buy a brand new one. The only thing when you step on the brakes, if it squirts up, it means the master cylinder's not working right and it's throwing pressure through the feed. The cylinder on the top of your master cylinder, reservoir cylinder, holds fluid. It just feeds the master cylinder. If you push and it's squirting up, that means instead of your master cylinder pushing the fluid to the brake lines, it's pushing it up. You got a crappy one. But don't ever buy a rebuilt one. And these days especially, most of them are made out of aluminum. It pits inside. You can't rebuild them. They don't work all that well. Back in the day, they could be done professionally because they were cast iron. And they would rebore them so they're a little bigger. And they put oversized seals. And they work perfectly fine because cast iron can be honed, right? Aluminum, when it pits, goodbye. Just buy a brand new one. Don't ever buy a rebuilt master cylinder. You know, alternator, stuff like that, hey, they're electronic, they're pretty easy to rebuild, yada yada, it's not your life at hand. If the master cylinder fails and you get killed because you run into something, hey, only buy brand new master cylinders and quality ones. Try to stay away from the ones made in China because they're often not all that high quality. Even their new ones aren't that good. You don't want to chance your life with a crappy master cylinder on your brake system. John K says, I got a 2011 Honda Pilot with a 3.5 V6, 126,000 miles. When I turn the key, sometimes it starts, other times it'll spin for 45 seconds before it starts. I took it to the dealer, they said they can't replicate it. You got a lot of mileage. First thing I'm going to do is just change the fuel filter. If it's clogged, it can do that. Now, if it's not that, try my video, make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. You get 2 cans of spray cleaner, 1 to clean the throttle, 1 to clean the mass airflow sensor. Pray that helps. If it doesn't, odds are your fuel pump is starting to go out. Now, as long as it starts, what the heck. But if you want to find out if it's that, when it's cold, hook up a pressure gauge or pay a mechanic, leave it in his garage overnight, first thing in the morning to check it. If he starts it up and it won't start, and he sees the fuel pressure's low, replace the fuel pump. When they start to go out, they do that, and it's 11 years old with 126,000 miles. It could be that the fuel pump is starting to go out. But try my cleaning first. A lot of times that'll fix it, and fuel pumps aren't cheap on those things. And sometimes even something like running a can of really good fuel injector cleaner like BG fuel tank cleaner, put it in the fuel tank. Sometimes the injector's just a little bit worn. That'll clean them out, and if you find that fixes, that's the cheapest fix of it all. If you can't find the BG, I tried that royal purple stuff when I was in Rhode Island, and it worked good too. And places like AutoZone and O'Reilly sell the royal purple fuel injector cleaner. It's not cheap. I paid 20-something bucks for the big bottle, but I gotta say, it really helped the guy's Toyota out that I put it into. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.